At the Alex Jones Show, which is the most censored broadcast in America, and then it's pretty much anything InfoWars right after that. But you're seeing now other conservatives get banned. Heck, even Republicans get banned. And why is that? Well, someone reported that they were going to send a UN Soros-funded caravan to the southern border right before the midterm elections. Somebody said the Democrats were going to false flag media operations and blame Trump and blame conservatives. Yeah, that was InfoWars. That was Alex Jones. And that's why they censor us.
Alicia, Powe reporting with the Gateway Pundit, and I'm here with the amazing host of InfoWars' War Room, Owen Shroyer. Thanks for being here today, Owen, tonight.
The amazing host. Wow, that's so kind of you.
Oh, InfoWars has been banned. Alex Jones has been banned from virtually every social media platform. Facebook, Twitter. I mean, he's the most banned person in the 21st century, and so have you by default. What do you think it really is? What do you think their motives are for this ban against
I think I think that their biggest motive has to be political, to censor anybody who has a dissenting opinion from the establishment, to censor anyone who has a dissenting opinion from the left, specifically in this country. And I think that the proof is in the pudding. I was actually discussing this today during a live stream I did from UT's campus. I think this is a question that we have to ask ourselves philosophically in the West. It used to be that you associated free speech with the left, with liberals, right? Liberals always touted free speech. When did we cross the threshold in the West that now it's the right that stands up for free speech and the left actually attacks free speech? So when did we really cross that threshold? I think you could maybe look at 2016 and say that was the case, but the left has actually been censoring dissenting opinions really since the 90s. But the question is, when did we cross the threshold? There's no debate now. It cannot be debated. It is without any doubt the left is now the party of censorship and the right is now the side of free speech. So we've crossed that threshold. It's obviously political. It's sad that they want to try to lie about this American revolution we're having right now. I think that's the real motive here, is to act like Trump isn't popular, censor all of Trump supporters on social media so that they can continue the lie that Trump isn't popular, bully anybody in Hollywood and television that supports Trump so that they never get to see the light of day on TV. So it's all about social control. It's all about political control. And that's what's driving this. I think it's clear. I don't think there's any debate to be had. And you can just tell by the people that are getting censored versus the people that are allowed to operate.
Do you remember when the Facebook started the fake news campaign, like basically the same moment Trump won the election? Don't you think it's because of places like InfoWars and all these alternative media outlets, Gateway Pundit?
Well, I think you'd have to actually, you could probably put a date to when either Trump or Hillary said it first. But I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that Hillary actually said it first. And then it was like one of those things where she says like deplorables and we're just like, oh, fake news. But I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that. But I actually, one of the things that I pride myself on is just staying as informed as possible when it comes to the day-to-day pulse of America, just having my finger on the pulse of America. And it was definitely 2016 when Hillary lost and Trump won that the establishment realized that they have to do something about dissenting voices. They look at, let's be perfectly honest. You can go and look at stories that were written. Most people on Fox News, in fact, the only person on Fox News that supported Trump from the beginning was Ann Coulter, and she's just a guest. Nobody in radio other than Alex Jones and Michael Savage really supported Trump. So it's important to remember who was with Trump from the beginning versus who's with Trump now that it is, politically advantageous for them or economically advantageous for them, hosts on Fox News. So yes, it was these, what people might call alternative medias or internet-based news like the Gateway Pundit, InfoWars that got Trump elected. And so they realize that, and they figure if they can silence our voices, that they can avoid that from happening in the future. But the problem is, it's too late. The genie's already out of the bottle. And now that they are censoring us, it's only actually backfiring on them.
Well, if I recall, they started basically saying we can't talk about certain things as soon as Pizzagate, the whole Pizzagate conspiracy theory unleashed. That was when you can't talk about spirit cooking and it's fake news. They told us we can't investigate certain things, and just all across the board called people who do talk about Seth Rich conspiracy theorists or any of that investigation. But I mean, what can we really do about it?
Well, I think it was, I believe it was Cuomo on CNN who said, "Oh, you're not even allowed to read the WikiLeaks. Only we are at CNN. You're not even allowed to read the WikiLeaks." So that just shows you how arrogant they are. But
Yeah,
I'd like to, I think that's actually interesting. Go back and find out, when did the fake news stuff start happening? And I want to say October 2016, but it had to be before that. It had to be before that. But obviously, about what came out in the WikiLeaks with the spirit cookings, the children in the pool for your entertainment, talking about, having open borders, talking about how they really feel about their voters, their dumb effers and all this stuff. And then you have the people actually doing the research. You have Julian Assange saying, our people put their lives at risk. Seth Rich gets killed in an unsolved murder in D.C. So everyone was kind of putting the pieces together, kind of doing their own independent investigation, if you will, with whatever information is publicly available. And they found some stuff that was pretty eye-opening, I think, whether it's Pizzagate, whether it's Seth Rich. There's a lot of stuff that opened people's eyes. And I think it was so eye-opening that the only response was to just label it fake. Like, for example, I did a broadcast from UT today where I'm telling the students about the undercover video of Beto O'Rourke's campaign talking about funding the migrant caravan, breaking campaign finance laws. And they just say, "Oh, that's fake." "Oh, that's fake. It's fake. It's a fake video." So that seems to be a psychological response of people when you introduce them to an unpleasant truth, an inconvenient truth to whatever their current ideology or mindset is. They seem to just cast it off as fake. So that seems to be a psychological response by these people. So that really means it's probably even more real than we realize.
yeah. I've just been inundated with emails for just reporting accusations that Robert Mueller sexually assaulted a woman. We can't even report on it now without being called fake news. But do you think that the left is exploiting the mass shooting that happened in Pittsburgh to further undermine the First Amendment? I mean, look what's going. GoDaddy's basically just pulled away from Gab because the shooter had a profile. The pipe bomber guy had a profile on Gab. Isn't that what the left does? Kind of exploit these tragedies to undermine our Constitution?
100%. That's right out of the Democrat playbook every time. And here's how you can tell it's totally fake. How is it that Gab gets erased from the internet because this sick individual was on Gab as a platform and posted on Gab? If you go back and let's just look at some of the events that have happened over the course of the last maybe 5 years. You've had multiple mass shooters who have what? Facebook accounts where they post guns, Twitter accounts where they post guns, Instagram accounts where they post guns. You had people kidnap a child who is mentally handicapped and beat him and torture him live on Facebook. So why did Facebook never get erased? Why did Twitter never get erased? Why did Instagram never get erased? Well, because that's absurd. Anybody can sign up for these things and post something, and it's impossible for the people running this or curating this to respond in the right time, or to even curate something where there's millions of things posted every second. So it's totally absurd. It shows that it's an agenda, and it's another one of those things that just has you scratching your head and wondering if it wasn't a political stunt from the very get-go. Not saying it didn't happen or people didn't die. Obviously, that was the case. I'm just saying it makes you wonder if there wasn't some prior knowledge and a plan ready to go here.
I mean, a few weeks ago, Facebook purged 800 conservative accounts. I mean, predominantly conservative accounts, and they're even shadow banning the president. But why do you think the White House is not doing anything about it? I mean, we see President Bush talk about it, but where's the executive order or some action?
Well, it's interesting because this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and something that honestly I have to philosophically struggle with sometimes. And I just justify it by claiming that we're the Dark Knight. But let's really get to the core of this. Who got Trump elected? honestly, like I said before, it was InfoWars, it was Alex Jones, it was Michael Savage, it was Ann Coulter. That was the most biggest audience that put Trump in office, that were with Trump from day one, that already had huge audiences of millions of people built up. So that's what got Trump in office. Now, who's getting censored more than anybody? InfoWars, Alex Jones. People try to get Michael Savage kicked off air all the time. People try to get Lou Dobbs kicked off air now because he supports Trump. But you ask, why isn't there anything done? You know, it really hurts.
I mean, we saw Marco Rubio pretend he didn't even know who Alex Jones was.
And that's fine. I don't really care about Marco Rubio, but I look at Brad Parscale. Here's a guy who's apparently the social media guru. Here's a guy who writes an exclusive for Breitbart. The same day I talked to him, and Brad Parscale talked to me, and he said he's never heard of Alex Jones, and he has no idea who InfoWars is. But he does know about social media censoring conservatives, but he's never heard of Alex Jones. This is the big social media guru. This is the genius who got Trump in office with social media, and he's never heard of InfoWars or Alex Jones, where Trump went on Alex Jones's show, and he has to know that InfoWars had to be massively responsible for Trump's election, but he's never heard of it or Alex Jones. And then he writes an exclusive piece for Breitbart talking about all the social media censorship against conservatives, and InfoWars and Alex Jones doesn't even get mentioned. I mean, this is a philosophical struggle that I have to go through every night. Are they giving us the middle finger intentionally? Do they really not know who we are? Do they really just take a dump on us even though we put them in power? Is that really what I'm dealing with? Or is it a Dark Knight situation where they know that this is our role, kind of like in The Dark Knight, where at the end, Batman says, blame me for the murder of Harvey Dent to save Harvey Dent from becoming Harvey Two-Face. And the Dark Knight runs and they blame the Dark Knight for the murder, and then he's the bad guy. Is that the situation? We get no credit. We get stabbed in the neck. We bleed out and die as the martyr for social media censorship, and then we don't get any love, we don't get any respect, we don't get anybody showing us any admiration or anything. And I don't want that. It's just when you do so much for an administration and then they act like you don't even exist, that hurts my heart. It really does. And I don't understand. I really don't understand why they haven't done anything about this. They continue to pay it lip service. They continue to point out they know it's there, but they've done nothing. And maybe that's the strategy. Don't do anything, because you don't want to be called an authoritarian, or that's just your free speech stance, that they can do all this. But say that. Don't sit here and say you know what's going on and then act like we don't exist when we've been erased off of social media altogether.
I mean, Google can control, about 25% of the world's elections through its manipulations of algorithms. And they're certainly meddling in this election when just a few weeks out of the midterms, they purged hundreds of conservative accounts. But perhaps President Trump is waiting until after the midterms to act. I mean, Congress certainly isn't doing anything about it.
Well, that's one theory. Again, it's kind of like a waiting game that we're going through here. But again, I don't even care. As long as America wins, as long as we keep going forward, I don't care if we don't get any credit for anything. That's not what I'm in this for. But if people think, if they don't, here's what I'll say. It's kind of the same thing that I've said before. If Hillary Clinton doesn't end up in jail by the time Trump's out of office, if people don't get arrested for all the crimes we know got committed by our government, whether it be the illegal spying by Obama, now we come out to find out multiple women that accused Kavanaugh of rape lied about it, and they're now admitting this to the intel committees. I mean, these are serious crimes that people are trying to destroy our country with. So if we're not going to do anything about this, how much victory can really be sustained over the course of time? But again, it's just kind of a waiting game. We just have to wait and find out, I guess, at this point.
I mean, I think you're going out with signs somewhere on Monday to kind of address this with the public. Your InfoWars army. Can you tell us what you're going to do?
Yeah. So what I've been doing since they social me on social media, since they censor me digitally, I just go out into the real world. And one of the things I like to do, and the InfoWars army likes to do, is hold up signs over busy highways, busy roads, whatever the busiest road is in your town. You get up on the bridge that goes over it and you just hold a sign. Now, I'm going to have probably at least 10, maybe 20 people out at my event. Who knows? It could be more. For some people, they just take out one sign and a flag. But I'm going to have a bunch of signs. It's a series of signs that says, under President Trump, record job growth, record low unemployment, record GDP growth, record economic growth, and then one that says vote red, vote dim out, and then one says InfoWars.com banned information. So that's just what I do. I go out into the real world. People tend to forget that a lot of this country is not on social media. It's kind of a thing that people tend to forget because they get wrapped up in the bubble of social media. But like, for example, honestly, all of my childhood friends that I stay in touch with are like, none of them are on social media. I don't know if that's just like my social circle growing up or there's others out there like that, but none of my friends are even on social media. My family is not really on social media. So, I feel like there is an aspect to going out in the physical world and doing, social media posts, hashtags, and trends that's just as effective, if not more effective. So yes, I'm holding these signs above a busy bridge or on a busy bridge above a busy highway in Austin on Monday. This will be, I think, the third or fourth time I've done this.
It seems like conservatives are so apathetic to this. I feel like if it were the left that was getting censored and banned, we'd see them out in the streets, probably getting paid like AstroTurf to protest the tech tyrants. But we're all still using Facebook. We're all still just going along with it. We're upset. People I know, basically, their media companies have just gone defunct because they can't use Facebook to post their stuff. What specifically is Alex Jones doing to fight this, or are you at your team at InfoWars?
Well, we're lucky.
What you're going to do in the street on Monday.
Well, we're lucky because Alex Jones has built InfoWars, and Alex saw the future, and he knew we would be at this point in history. And so he built InfoWarsStore.com, which is how we fund ourselves. We don't have advertisers. We don't have these big ad buys. It's all through our store there. So we're independent. And then we have InfoWars.com/show, which is where we can house all of our live broadcasts and still get millions of traffickers a day, because that's just the traffic that's organically been built into our website. So, we're lucky that Alex has built such a platform. I'm lucky that Alex has built such a platform that I can be, censored on social media and still be able to go live at InfoWars.com/show and know that our audience can find us there, even though it's harder and they still try to DDoS attack us. And, you can imagine. But so for independent people that, don't have big studios, don't have a website of their own that they can run, maybe they're not tech savvy and it's harder for them to learn how to encode and all this stuff to get a live stream. Yeah, they pretty much just get erased and they're not allowed to do their thing. So our answer is actually expansion in the face of contraction. And we're trying to hire more crew. We're trying to do more live shows, but it's tough to do without funding ourselves. And so, we do sales and we sell supplements and everything, and it's all great. And that's what our audience loves about us, is that we do sell good stuff and they can go to the website and support us. But it's harder and harder to do. I mean, they sue us. They have frivolous lawsuits that they file against us. And then erasing us off social media. Really what that does is it kind of curtails our ability to expand, really. I mean, we were at a growth rate ever since 2016, and the problem is the viewership continues to go up. Our audience gets more loyal, but it's harder to reach a new audience when they ban you from social media. That's the toughest thing, because it's just like a highway, right? I mean, the main highway in Austin, Texas, Highway 35, it sucks. Nobody likes it. It's the worst. There's always traffic. There's potholes. It's literally the worst. Where else are you going to go? There's nowhere else to go. That's the only way to get from point A to point B. You have to use 35. So it's the same thing. It's like Facebook, Twitter, all of this garbage. If you want people to see your stuff, if you want to reach a new audience, that's the main highway. That's where all the traffic is. You can't really expand on another platform like you can on those platforms. So that's kind of the obstacle that we have right now, just in general, not InfoWars, but everybody who wants to start a new broadcast or expand. They have all the traffic basically on 3 or 4 websites. It's basically a monopoly, a duopoly. They're obviously colluding. And so what are you going to do? Where else are you going to go? You can go over here to Gab. Oh, no, wait, they just erased Gab. You can go over here to Minds. Well, who's on Minds? Who promotes Minds? Minds doesn't get promoted on every television station, every cable station, every celebrity. So it's not fair. It's not a competitive platform. They dominate the market. They know it. And then it's proven. If you want to have any success with an alternative social media company. Gab was the perfect example. What did they do? They killed it. So these people don't believe in free speech. They have a total monopoly over social media, and they know it. It needs to be broken up.
Owen, why did you start doing this line of work? Why do you do this? Why do you work with InfoWars? How did it happen? And what inspires you to do it every day? And in the first place?
So I began working in sports media when I was 20 years old. I'm 29 now. I guess professionally when I was 20 years old. I was always interested in sports media and media ever since high school. But I always wanted to be in sports media. And so I came up, I had a foot in the door, which is tough. Sports media is tough. Very competitive. A lot of people fighting for very little positions. And once you get a position, you never want to give it up. But I digress. And I'm working in St. Louis professionally in sports media, getting paid to go to professional sporting events, playoff games, field access, locker room access, everything. A child's dream. But I was working in the St. Louis radio market doing talk radio when the Boston Marathon bombing happened. And so when the Boston Marathon bombing happened, for the first time ever, at least for me, you had the world of politics and current events meeting the world of sports. Now, I'd never left the sports plantation. I'd been on the sports plantation my whole life. I've never even, I'm not even kidding you. I've never even been in politics, current events, in my whole life combined. I bet you I didn't watch an hour of news. I'm not exaggerating. In my whole life combined. This is when I was, I think, 23 or 24. You have to go back. It was 2013, I believe. So I don't even know anything about this crap. I hate politics. I'm not involved. I know it's all corrupt, but whatever. I don't ever go there. So for the first time I went there and I'm watching the news and they're talking about the Boston Marathon bombing, which I'm going to go have to report on tomorrow. And I'm just seeing the reports. I'm seeing the conflicting stories. I'm seeing the things that don't add up. And I'm scratching my head and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? This doesn't make any sense. And so I'm sitting at my apartment in Webster, Missouri with an old friend of mine and my roommate. And I'm just like, my mind is just blown. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't, because we're going to talk about this all day. And my friend's like, yeah, the news is fake, right? Like, TV news, like it's all, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean it's fake? He's like, no, you don't understand. It's all fake. Like it's government run, it's propaganda. And I'm like, like what? But it makes sense to me because they're not telling me the truth. They're all lying to me. This is the first time I've ever seen it. It was just like an instinct, like, holy crap, this is nothing but lies right now. So that's when the red pilling process began. That's when I started going down the rabbit hole. And once you realize how corrupt things really are, how twisted things really are, you can't really sit on the sidelines. You can't really not care about it anymore. And it was basically at that point where I decided I was going to steer my career towards politics and get off the sports plantation. And here I am today.
Wow. And it's like, what if that red pill moment didn't happen? Then you might live your whole life living a lie.
But you see, it was always going to happen. That's the divine creator's design.
Yeah. Well, Owen, where can we follow you? You're not on Twitter. I don't know if you use Twitter anymore.
Well, I've had I've had 3 Twitter accounts that I was associated with banned, and those are all for the War Room. So they're all banned. The InfoWars Army Twitter account's been banned. They may let it back maybe next month. We'll find out after the midterms. I do have my Twitter account at All I Do Is Owen. I try to never use it and never tweet just so I can't get banned because it really is a great place to actually have social outreach and meet people and talk to people that you may not be able to get communications with otherwise. But the best place where we're always going to be, and I know we won't be censored, at least, we hope, is Infowars.com/show. That's where all of our live broadcasts are. I'm live 3 to 6 p.m. Central weekdays. And then War Room Facebook page is still actually live as of right now. They haven't banned us. They silence us every day, but don't ban us. It's like this weird cat and mouse game they play. But that's where they can find me, Infowars. And I really just consider myself play-by-play of everyday events in America. And it's pretty fun game to do commentary for.
Well, Gateway Pundit's also shadow banned on Facebook. And I hope maybe something comes about it after these midterms where conservatives get angry enough to force Congress to do something. We'll see.
Well, if we get the right Congress in, that's the key. That's the key.
And
The
if we don't,
116th Congress is going to be key.
and if we don't, if God forbid Hillary had won, we'd probably already be completely censored off.
We'd probably be dead, but